In today's episode, we're building this epic harbour, complete with a warehouse, plenty of boats, and an awesome looking dock. I think you'll really enjoy this episode, so stick around if you want to see everything that I got up to. But for now, let's jump straight into this. We are getting dangerously low on resources. I know what you're thinking, there are so many chests in this area, plenty of double chests, all full of resources. How could we possibly be low? Well, I went and grabbed what I want to use for the build, and what I noticed is we're running out of spruce very quickly. And all the inspiration that I've found for this build is using a ton of spruce trapdoors. Therefore, we are going to need plenty of spruce to be able to do any of this. Therefore, it's about time we went on an expedition, and I'm going to head over to our spruce forest and chop down every last tree I can find. I've cleared up everything else that I got from heading over there, and you can see we've got a bunch of spruce now, which should set us up for the rest of the build. I'm just going to grab a couple of additional pieces, and then I think we're good to get started. I've gathered up all the resources I think we're going to need, and there are plenty, which is why I've had to get another double chest. This entire chest here is essentially filled with various stones, and we have a bunch of different walls that we're going to be using on the build as well. And I've also added in a few bricks into here, got some additional chains, and also just grabbed the remaining trapdoors I could find. With all of that now successfully acquired, it's time that we actually map out the build. Originally, this was the area I wanted to build the actual warehouse, and it was going to be on land sitting sort of around here. After I've looked at some inspiration though, what I want to do is actually have it go into the water or onto the water ever so slightly. And so I've grabbed a couple of fences first to actually mark that out. Now, I know for a fact that we want the dock to curve around here. I don't want this building to sort of encroach on the campsite too much, which is making me think that maybe it needs to come out somewhere around here. And I don't necessarily need this to be really far into the kind of harbour here, or the bay. I've put down a few fences around, and you can start to see actually the shape that it's taking. I am also thinking that this is starting to look a little bit too square, and we should actually add maybe some character to this. If we go out this way and just drop a fence down, I'm going to have to clear some of this shortly, but we can put that in place there. And then from either of these fence posts, we can then go in another two. Excuse me. If we take this corner fence post out, then that's going to actually give us a little bit of character in that corner. I'm just going to put the rest of these in because this whole thing is going to be raised up. Well, I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. I've used a few pieces of granite in here as well. We can cut that corner off there. And I mean, if we really wanted to, we could even cut it back one more. So we have this area here. I might even bring this out just slightly, because I think what that will do is just help to add some variation into the size of this actual area by here. And then with that done, we have a section that sort of protrudes out of there, and then we have this area cut back here. Now I've got that on, I'm thinking we can either take it up one higher, which means the house is going to be really raised, or I think this might actually be enough for us. And just to start, I'm going to go around the edge and start to actually put in a bunch of these trapdoors, because they're going to act as kind of a little bit of cover to help hide the fact we have all of these fences here. And then on top of the fences are going to be half slabs, which should then raise the actual build up slightly higher. And then we can have the house on there and add in all of our staircases down and up. So why don't I go ahead and add all of these in, and then we'll see how that looks once it's finally done. That did not take long at all, and we should be able to just jump up here when we need to as well, which is kind of handy. All we need now is to actually add on the rest of the slabs and see what that leaves us with. And we could have probably took this up an extra one, but I think overall I don't want it to overpower the rest of the build, and that is subtle enough for me that it actually adds some character, especially in the kind of larger areas of water down there. So why don't we grab the slabs and start looking at how this can come together. Well, the slabs are in hand, and I think we can just start putting these on as we want. I've not really got a plan of where the warehouse is going to go. I'll probably put a square around here, and then maybe some of it will reach out this way and a little bit will go this way. But I like the idea of maybe having a bit of a walkway there that's wider and the same up the front here. So for now, I'm just going to put all of these slabs on and we'll see how that looks because we have a lot to add. And then once we actually put the house in, we'll have to take away a couple of these as well. That is the edge all put in. I've added a mix of jungle, oak, and some spruce. So now if we know that this area here might be a walkway, we can start to add some slabs in here. And just like so, we've got a nice area here that we can have. And then if the house goes here, then what I might do is have a slightly wider walkway here. And then at the back of the house, we'll also have a slightly wider walkway, which I think will help tie all of this together pretty well. I was worried that the spruce might be a tad too dark, but we've used it in a lot of the other builds, and I don't want to just move fully over to the jungle wood because it might look a little bit out of touch with the rest of the builds. However, I think that's pretty perfect. So now all we need to do is actually map out the house and actually get started on that. So I'm going to grab what we need for that and then let's give it a go. Now to start us off, I've gone and grabbed a bunch of the warped wart logs and the warped planks. And I'm just going to go around the edge and start to fill in where I think things are going to go. So our doorway, or at least one of the doorways, is going to be here. And then if we bring the blocks down this way, we could theoretically bring the house out one here. So I'm going to take away these and then we can have it come out here and maybe have either a single doorway here or a double doorway so that you can actually access this. And then we have the view of just the entire mine, the blacksmiths and everything out here, which I think is fantastic. Looks really good. I'm super happy with the progress we've made so far. I mean, this place has come on so far since the first episode, and there is so much more for me to add. Now, if we keep coming back here, I'm thinking we might change up the actual shape of the build ever so slightly. So we're going to come back all this way, and then what we might do is somewhere around here, might bring it in slightly. And I mean, it would probably make sense to bring it in based on where all of these are. So let's just break this. And then we can put some more slabs down there and we just have a little sort of outdoor storage area or something like that. And then you would come into the sort of warehouse here. Maybe this is like the storage area. You have some storage on this wall as well. And then we have a doorway out here as well. Right, so let's get the actual floor input in place, and then once that's done, we can start to actually build the walls up. I think a stack of everything should do. I'm definitely going to use the oak as the entrance point. You have the doors then behind here. Wait, this needs to go up, doesn't it? Yeah, and then the doors will need to be here. So that's probably the best bet. And then once you actually come in, we can start decorating with the various woods again. I think this is quite nice because it gives off the impression that maybe the water has kind of, well, the water has actually like molded some of the wood and therefore it's all changed color because it's so like humid with all the water down there. And it does just give that kind of feel because the jungle planks do look as if they've kind of been tainted a little bit by the water. I am absolutely loving this so far. I think this looks fantastic. It is coming together so fast. It just looks great. So I'm going to add in the bottom layer for the walls. And then we're going to have to think where some windows go because I want there to be a nice amount of light in here. I want to maximize the view we have of the blacksmiths. I don't want to lose any of that. We're also going to have over here eventually the lighthouse and potentially the iron farm. So there's a lot to look at. And of course we have our starting island. And eventually we are going to be adding even more to all of this. So the view is only ever going to get even better. So I'm going to jump into a small time lapse and just play around with how this house looks. Well, the warehouse is finally complete. I'm actually recording this a week later, and a lot has happened. As you can see, the actual warehouse behind me, the outside looks fantastic. I've added in so many decorative blocks, and I'm really happy with how the actual pallets come together. So why don't I take you guys around the outside, and then we can head in. When I started this, I really wanted to add depth to the actual build. And for that, I came in and added these fences. And we also have the copper trapdoors. Now, at some point, I'm going to come back and honeycomb these. I want the rest of them to be this kind of off orange because it's going to give a bunch of contrast to the actual build. Then when I was building, I realized that we could add even more depth by adding in these signs. So I went away and crafted a couple, and I think that turned out really, really well. Now, I also wanted to mention the copper golems that we have, because these guys are pretty key to the build. The idea that I had was that they probably work here, and right now this guy, he's just recharging or he's enjoying the view. He's on a well-earned break, and there's a couple of these guys around the place which just helps to bring it to life, and yeah, I really like what they add to the actual build. Now, if we come around to this side, you'll see we have a number of pots. In here, we have a sapling, we have some bushes, and then around here, we have a barrel with a chest and a couple composters. I think they add a lot of texture to the build, which looks really good. Now, along the front here, I added these hanging signs. The idea here was that these were kind of a curtain that would block out the sun, and essentially, I like the idea it was kind of a tropical vibe. You see these on kind of like Mediterranean like buildings, and I figured we've got a warehouse on the docks, like this might be a really nice thing to add. So yeah, I kind of went for that. I mean, it's very different to the vibe we have from the mine and the blacksmiths, but I think because of the blocks that we've used, it still ties in really well. So it actually adds some character that sets it apart from the rest, but yeah, it still manages to tie in. So I'm really happy with that. Now, if we come around to the back, I'll just show you, we obviously have another copper golem here. We've got a barrel and we have a couple leaves that I've put on top of trapdoors. The intention being that they're kind of like little hanging baskets or something like that. Now, with all of that said, I think it's finally time that we headed inside, and I wanted to show you guys what I've done in here because I think it looks really nice. I didn't want to go for the standard wall that was just covered in chests because I figured, well, that's just going to look way too functional. And the whole point of this is that I want to start taking the kind of aesthetic side of things a bit more seriously. So what I've done is added in these kind of sporadic placements of chests. We've got a number of barrels around the place as well. And I've already started to move over some items that we were using to build so that the place is pretty quickly filling up. Now, the reason behind all of this is because I saw a post the other day saying that if you want to maximize the kind of life you get from each of your builds, you should actually keep anything related to that build where it is. So since this is the mining district, I figured why don't we have a warehouse where we keep everything from the mine? And that is exactly what I'm going to do here. So anytime we ever need anything, whether it's diamonds, redstone, anything like that, it's always going to come from here. And it means we're always going to be coming back to this area, even when this world is 1,000 days old, 2,000 days old, because of course it's our forever world and I want to make sure that we're always using this. Therefore, I couldn't start this place off empty-handed, and I've actually been down to the mine and I've picked up a bunch of stuff to get us started. So here we have a ton of redstone and some lapis, and up here we have 2 and a bit stacks of diamonds, a bunch of gold, and even some copper. And I think that is pretty perfect. Now, in terms of actual decoration in here, it's mostly just the chests. We've got a couple of pots, as you can see. We've got an additional copper golem in here. Obviously had to bring a crafting table through, but overall, I don't think we needed to do too much in here. I've added these kind of higher up trapdoors, which act as shelves, and I've even hidden a chest up here as well, which I just think looks really nice. So overall, I think that is pretty much perfect, and I'm pretty happy to say that we are ready to move on to the rest of the dock and the actual boats that we want to have here. I've headed back into the warehouse because there are a few things that we're going to need for the actual docks, and one of those things is going to be granite, because I want to get some more granite walls that we can use. I'm also going to grab the jungle fences that we've already got, and I'm going to come in here and get all of the trapdoors. I probably want some more oak logs and a bunch of spruce as well, because we're going to need to craft some things. I'll grab all of the slabs that we've got left over, and to be honest, we can grab all of the spruce planks, oak planks. Yeah, I think all of that will do pretty nicely. And then it's just, what else do we want to have on here? I'm assuming we want to add some decoration, so we're going to need to grab a few things like that. We've already got a decorated pot here that we can use. The next thing we probably want are going to be some more barrels and chests, so why don't I craft a couple of those up, and then we should be ready to start laying the foundations of everything. Well, I've gone away and grabbed everything I think we're going to need for building this. We have a ton of trapdoors, as that's what it's going to mainly be built out of. Then I have all of our walls and a couple of fences, a few decorative pieces, and the actual logs in case we need to craft anything. For actually starting this, I think the best thing that we can do is get a few things down just to see how we're actually going to build this. Now, I want it to go down one, so it almost rests upon the water there, and then I might have it come up again around here and have then a little jetty that goes out. So let's head over this way and start all of this. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be this area here where we want it to come down. So I'm just going to float out into the water here and start getting a few fences placed. Now, what I'm actually thinking is, rather than having the fence come all the way up, we might want to put some oak logs on here. So actually, let's go with the spruce. I'm going to pop these on here. These can be our kind of corner pieces. And then in between here, we should be able to just use the trapdoors. Like so. And there we have a kind of first bit of the jetty. Now, what I need to do is actually add some stairs onto here. Okay, I've put these down for now, and then what we can do is add our stairs across here. And then what I'm going to do is probably pop some just spruce planks on the end like that for now. So that gives us a pretty nice way down, and I'm going to probably do a similar thing around here quickly, just so that we actually have a way up and down. With the kind of entrance point here mapped out, what I want to do is actually kind of spread the dock around here a little bit. And I think we can just do that by adding in a couple more fences to see where it's going to sit. Because I want to be able to walk on it from here. So what I'm going to do is maybe drop a couple trapdoors on this bit. I'm going to start building off of here and creating a kind of shape that we want. And I do quite like that being raised up. We are going to go back down again pretty soon, but that gives us a little bit of, yeah, a little bit of a change in height at points. I like how that's coming together. And yeah, we can actually build underneath these ones. So what I'll do is I'll pop in just a bit by there. And then if we want anything around the edges, I just went away to grab a couple of blocks, because what I'm thinking is we can actually go out from here, and then every now and then we can have a full block which we add a sign onto, and then we can just have these slabs as well that go up like so. Well, I've jumped ahead a fair bit, but this is coming together so well. The dock, as you can see here, we have these various spruce logs with our jungle fences on top, which kind of help to actually frame the dock as a whole. We have our granite walls mixed in here with a few fence gates, and the trapdoors look fantastic. I've even started to decorate it with a barrel, a couple chests. We've got our pot as well. And I think what I'm going to do now is throw us into a time lapse just so that I can play around and figure out what we want to do for the rest of this. So I will see you guys in a moment. Well, that took way less time than I expected, but the dock has come together so well. I couldn't be happy with how this has turned out. And to be honest, this might be... I might prefer this even to the warehouse itself. It just looks so good. Now, let me run you through everything about it. So I added a second entrance to the dock closer to the blacksmith's because currently the blacksmith's is essentially my home and I figured I'd want a way onto it. And then on here we have a variety of barrels, a couple of chests. I even added an anvil in case someone maybe needs to forge something while the boats are coming in and kind of delivering things to the warehouse. Then around here we have a chest minecart, which I thought was a really nice idea, as if someone's pushing things along here. Oh my god. Let me try and rescue this squid. Well, that was horrific. Apologies. Let's get back to what I was saying. So we have the minecart here, which I think looks really good. And the idea is that obviously they could be pushing things to the warehouse and getting it from the boat. So I really like that. And then throughout here, it opens up into a bit of a wider space. As you've seen before, we have this area here. But overall, I think it just looks really good. I managed to get a little bit of elevation around here, which is what I wanted. I didn't want it all to just sit on top of the water, as I felt that might not look probably as good as it could. And in these spaces here, that little bit of elevation really helps to just add some character to the build. Now, the next kind of challenge that I think we're going to have is actually building the boats. And I want to have a very small boat here, and then potentially a boat here, and maybe even one around here. Now, the other thing we have to take into consideration is that eventually we're going to be building a bridge here, and we're also going to be building a bridge here. Now, those bridges I want to arch, and the boats are going to be pretty small, so they would be able to get underneath them. But we need to take that into consideration when we're... Why are these guys all just, like, sat there? Okay. Well, yeah, essentially we need to take into account these boats are going to have to get underneath the bridge, so however big or small they are, we'll have to then eventually compensate for that with the bridge. But overall, the actual dock itself looks so good. So what I think I'm going to do is finally move all of these items into the warehouse, and then what I'm going to do is grab everything I think we're going to need to make a couple of very small boats around here. And then I think we're pretty much wrapped up with the warehouse and the dock. And these guys have just not moved. I don't know if they're okay. I'm gonna ignore that for now. Well, with that said, I'm gonna grab everything we need to make these boats, and then let's jump straight into it. I want the first boat to come in around here, so we're gonna need to get down onto the water, and then for now, I think I'm just gonna put some fences up, which we can remove later on. I'm going to pop one underneath there, just like that. And then we can break this. So that's going to be the foundation for the boat. Now, on any sides of these, I'm going to want to pop some of these to actually hold in the boats. Okay, that's unlucky. I need these to go upwards. This is like one of the mysteries of the world. Like, how do you get the trapdoors to go upright? I mean, either way... we know we're going to want to do this on either end. Another trapdoor. Another trapdoor. Okay, apparently I can't place the boat here. Place the boat here, though. Lock that in place. Okay, maybe I'm thinking we want to expand this over one now. I feel like I'm driving. It's like a reverse bay park. I've never... oh, God. Never thought I'd be reverse bay parking a boat in Minecraft. It's a little bit off, but I should just be able to nudge it back. I feel like we're getting somewhere. This is... yeah, this was difficult to begin with, but... oh, look at that. Come on. Okay, so we go forward as much as we can. You can walk through the boat. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. I do want to put a light on the back of it, so I'm going to sort that. Well, I didn't realize he was going to just be stood there looking at me. I mean, I need to get back on the dock, so I'm going to have to run past him. Okay, yep, I'm much happy with that. And I've seen you, buddy. I know you're going to be coming for me. He's really trying to juke me out, but I know he knows. Yeah, see? I knew. I knew he was going to know. Right, let's go on here. And then what I want to do is essentially add like a little backlight to the boat. I don't think it needs to go super high up. Just like that, we now have a little boat, which, yeah, I think that looks good. It's like a little canoe. That's all I really wanted, was like quite a simple boat. And I think that looks good enough. I don't think the side trapdoors really would have added much to it. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now we just need to make 1 or 2 more of these in the bay. I might actually try and do 1 or 2 of the others like one down, so it's like they're at different levels, because a little bit of the water, like this sitting in the water, would look quite cool, I think. Okay, yeah, let's build some more. So I'm going to put 1 in here. So what I'm thinking is if we put the trapdoor off of that, while we're here, we might as well just destroy this. Max is 100% going to break in a second. Oh god, I've placed one too many things. It's going to break when there's one thing left, I guarantee it. I called it. I knew what was good. Okay, right, I'll get another one. So I believe the last one we did was 5 along. Nope, it was 3. I am making stuff up. Right, so we need this to build off of this, really. Go with the dirt, just like so. Come on. Yep, that'll do. And we'll pop that like so. Pop this up here. Again, I'm going to come in and add a lantern just so we got some light. Probably regret doing that in a second because I'm going to need to place the boat. Nice, that's like clipped into place now. And then let's just take this and delete all of that. That was so much easier than the last one, and it looks really good. Like, eventually we might have different types of boats as well somewhere else. Yeah, I think a boat here would be cool. Because I do want, like, maybe a bigger trading boat or something. So I'm thinking we build another canoe out there. So I'm going to head over that way, and then I have one other thing in store that I want to build a little bit closer to the shore over there, I think. Or maybe we build it here. So it's like in the waterway. We could have a canoe there and like a canoe out there. Lots of decisions to be made. Lots of decisions to be made. Actually really struggling to figure out what I want to do here. Because if we put like a bigger boat there, that would look... I think that looks cool. Then we just have a small one over there. Right, let's go do the last kayak. So let's do that. Then we can get rid... Oh, wait, no, I actually need those, don't I? I actually need those. Yeah, we need to get the spruce stairs on there and then turn the spruce stairs the other way. And then prop our trapdoor. I'm a professional at these now. These are so easy. Pop those on there, and then we'll have our little lights, but we don't put the light on until we've got the boats down. I literally just thought that disappeared. Come on. No. Trapdoor's playing ball with me. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Easy. Then all we have to do is drop this on, drop that on, and get rid of the dirt. Right. I want to put one more boat here, but I think I need to plan this a bit more because it's not going to be huge, but it's going to be a little bit different to the other ones. And then if we do that, I think that will round this off pretty nicely. And I've just got one very special thing to do at the end of this episode, so I need to remember that. So stick around because I do have one thing to add inside of here that we're going to be doing. It's only very small. But the sun always sets so quickly, and yeah, the days just go too quick. Right, let's get some sleep and then we'll finish this next boat. Well, if you can't already tell from my inventory, this boat is going to be a crimson plank boat. So either the top or the bottom of it is going to be crimson planks. And I'm pretty sure we can craft things with this. Yes, I'm going to make some trapdoors because we're going to need those. I'm going to make some stairs because we'll need those. And then I'm going to make some slabs because no doubt we'll need those as well. Let's jump out there and start setting this up. Well, as you've probably seen already, this looks fantastic. I wanted to kind of go over it a little bit, and essentially I just started to follow some inspiration I found, and then I sort of went off on a bit of a tangent. These bits here I would like to maybe change. I'm not a huge fan of the fence. It looks a little spindly, just a bit too thin. However, the actual roof and the whole of the boat, as in terms of actually matching what we've got in the canoes, I think it looks perfect. And if we actually come up here onto the dock, you can look out and we've got a few canoes that have obviously come through, and then you've got this much more sort of grander ship that is almost kind of maybe a key trading vessel or something like that. And I think if we just change these ever so slightly, we might even be able to increase that feeling of kind of grandeur from this. Now what I'm thinking we do is just a little change by knocking these out of here. And then where they were, we can come in here and potentially add some upside down stairs. And I think, even though it doesn't necessarily connect up perfectly, from a distance, that will make the roof feel much more put together. Yeah, I like that. Let's just drop this off here. And in fact, I've just seen what I might add to this as well. One last finishing touch. Let's get our little golem dude, and he's just sat down. He's one of the workers from the warehouse, and he's just on this kind of vessel that's trading goods around the bay. Yeah, I think that's really cool, and he contrasts really nicely against this red. And just like that, we're finally finished with the warehouse. You can see the dock behind me, all the boats. It is coming together so well. I feel like this whole area is just brimming with life now. We have the campsite, the blacksmiths, and this dock just adds so much to it. Yeah, I'm really happy with everything that we've done so far today. This looks amazing. Right, I have a few things to jump into before we wrap this up, so let's get into it. Now, one of the things that I need to do before we can wrap up this episode is actually have... It's going to be an update to the actual furnace room. It's very small, but Scruffy Beard commented on the last video saying that we could do with a few copper golems in here just to add the actual ambience of the place. So what I'm thinking is, where could we put a few of these guys? Now, potentially they could be like guarding the doorway. I think that could be quite a good idea. Yeah, maybe like this. Yeah, I like that. And then where else could we pop these guys? Now, I think it's going to have to be somewhere over here. Don't know if I want them high up or if I actually would prefer them to be, yeah, maybe like this. And based on where that is, I mean, we could just make this rather than a double chest. It could be a single chest. And then we could have another copper golem there. And I think what we'll do is this one can sit down. So they're kind of opposite each other. But yeah, I like that. I think it adds even more contrast. And yeah, thank you again, Scruffy Beard, for the comment, because it just looks really nice in here. They're always so like cute and adorable. I do want to actually have some proper copper golems walking around at some point, but we need to get some honeycomb to do that. So I'm going to have to make a bee farm in the future. For now though, I'm going to jump into one last thing before we wrap all of this up, and just look at that view. Now, if you're wondering what we're doing to wrap up the episode, it is time for us to finally give out the diamonds, gold ingots, and iron ingots to everybody who commented on the last video. In the last video, I asked you guys to comment the word furnace, and a bunch of you guys did. So to say thank you, I am giving out a diamond to Dufferin, a diamond to Toby Heath, a gold ingot to Lolo, a gold ingot to Scruffy Beard, an iron ingot to Ragada, another iron ingot to L, and the final iron ingot is going to Sergio. Thank you so much, guys, for all of the love. If any of you watching now want to get an item in the world with your name on it, all you have to do for this video is comment the word Harbour down below, and you will be in with a chance of ending up on the next build that we make. And finally, I have to say thank you to everybody who got this far. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Don't forget to comment, as I reply to everybody who does. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see my videos in the future. And thank you once again. I've been Tide, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Now hit that subscribe button. Don't be a chump.